Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Tuesday the 24th of November 2015, and we are briefly highlighting an incident that occurred in the early hours of this morning, which could potentially lead to a Black Swan event. NATO member Turkey has reportedly shot down a Russian military aircraft on the border with Syria. Ankara and Moscow has given conflicting accounts of the incident. The Russian Defense Ministry has confirmed that a Russian Su-24 had, quote, crashed on Syrian territory, having been hit from the ground, unquote, while it was flying at an altitude of 6,000 meters. According to preliminary reports, the pilots have managed to self-eject, the ministry was quoted as saying, by the Interfax news agency. It also stressed that throughout its flight, the aircraft remained exclusively above Syrian territory, adding, objective monitoring data shows it. But Turkish military officials said Turkish F-16s had shot down the plane after repeatedly warning its pilots were violating Turkish airspace. It scrambled two F-16 fighter jets after a plane penetrated Turkish airspace in the province of Hatay at 9:20 a.m. this morning, warning it to leave 10 times in 5 minutes before it was shot down. Russian aircraft have flown hundreds of sorties over northern Syria since September. Moscow says they have targeted only terrorists, but activists say its strikes have mainly hit Western-backed rebel groups. Turkey, a vehement opponent of Syria's president, has warned against violations of its airspace by Russian and Syrian aircraft, and only last week the Turkish Foreign Ministry summoned the Russian ambassador to warn him that there would be serious consequences if the Russian Air Force did not immediately stop bombing civilian Turkmen villages in Latakia province. The area near where the plane was shot down is the site of ongoing clashes between forces loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and rebels fighting to overthrow him. The northern Latakia countryside has been repeatedly assaulted by both the Syrian and Russian air forces. French jets from Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier struck Islamic targets in Iraq and Syria yesterday, while Britain offered France the use of an airbase in Cyprus to hit the militant group behind the Paris attacks. French President François Hollande met British Prime Minister David Cameron in Paris to rally support for the fight against Islamic State, and Hollande is also due to visit Washington and Moscow this week. Cameron offered air-to-air refueling services and said he was convinced Britain should carry out airstrikes alongside France on the group in Syria, and would be recommending that Britain's Parliament vote through such measures. Cameron said at a joint news conference after his meeting with Hollande, quote, I firmly support the action that President Hollande has taken to strike ISIL in Syria, and it is my firm conviction that Britain should do so too, unquote. He also added, later this week, I will set out in Parliament our comprehensive strategy for tackling ISIL. So, here we have it. An intensity of bombings in Syria, with the Western alliance gathering around against one common enemy, in an area in which Russia is currently very active. This is certainly appearing to give the impression of a proxy war, or a show of military strength. Either way, it does have Black Swan credentials, but what we do not know at present is whether it is actually swimming towards us or not. We hope you have found this video helpful and informative. and would appreciate it if you'd give it a thumb up, comment, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Please also share this video on Twitter and follow us at Illuminati Silver One. Disclaimer. Silver Illuminati owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice, and merely represent the personal views of its owners.